now we will be adding a second scene to our game. Last time we were here, we added splash scene to our code base so that now game.js is just a pointer that starts our game up and then starts our splash scene for us. What we're going to do is we're going to add a second scene to our game so that we have a sort of template ready to go for all of our other scenes, and then later on we're going to add more content to our splash scene so that it's just not a single color. So if you remember from last time, I'm just going to open up our game. When the game starts, it just at the moment is giving us a black scene, which is good. That's what we want it to do. And then it just flashes away and goes off because our scene loads and then there is nothing in our scene at the moment. So the game just ends. I'm going to go up to View and I'm going to go to Developer and Developer Tools. So this only works in the Chrome web browser. View, Developer, Developer Tools. And that will bring up our console on the right-hand side so that we can see any logging that we're doing to the console. So if we go back to our code now, you will remember in splash scene, we had this one line of code in preload that to the console, it just logged out splash scene. And if we go back, you will notice that it has printed that out for us. And this is the Replit version. If we go back to our GitHub one and do the exact same thing, it should also be there. So this is our permanent link. The Replit one is just temporary while we're working. So you can see splash scene shows up here. So the goal that we're going to have today is for our game to start up. The splash scene is going to load, and then instantaneously it's going to go to our next scene, which is actually going to be called the title scene. So we're going to come back. We're going to make sure we're in the JavaScript library, and we're going to add another file. And we are going to call this title scene.js. It's empty at the moment. Instead of typing everything from scratch, what we're going to do is go back to splash scene. We're just going to select everything. So I press Control A. We're going to copy it. We're going to go back to title scene, paste it in, then we'll scroll to the very top and change everything from splash scene to title scene. Now there's two different versions, splash and splash with a capital in each spot, so you have to make sure that you can't just wildly do a change. So this is now going to be the title scene, and we're going to change our class name, obviously to title with capital. The key we're going to be using is going to be title scene, but with a small t. The background color we can just leave for now. We're obviously going to want to print out on the console that we've hit the title scene so that that will show up. And at the bottom, we want to export all the defaults for our new title scene. So that's all the changes we need to make to our title scene. It's now going to do the identical thing that our splash scene did, but obviously print out a different line so that we know where we are. The next thing that we have to do is we have to go back to game scene. If you remember in game scene, we had several lines where we had to do import and bring in that JavaScript file. So we're going to have to do the exact same kind of thing for title scene as well. So I just copied that, and we're going to paste it in, and we're going to do the same kind of game of switching splash scene to title scene. So after we import it, then this is now our game scenes, because we're going to have several of them. So we create a variable. This variable is going to obviously be called title scene. And we're creating it new from the title screen class. And then we need to add title scene to our game. And don't forget here, we don't add a second one because we actually still want our game to start at splash scene. So our game's going to start at splash screen. It's going to come over to our splash screen, and it's going to do this line of code, but it's just going to end right here because we don't have anything in update. So what we need to add here is a line of code that on the very first update, flip over and go to our title scene. So we're going to add that line of code now. So to do that, we use a command called switch. I'm just going to paste in the code. So this refers to the class that we are currently in, which is splash scene. Remember, it extends phaser scene. So this refers to phaser scenes. The scene has a method called switch, and what we want to switch to is the title scene. So as soon as update happens the very first time in our splash scene, it will stop. It will stop and it will hop over to our title scene. It will print out this to the console, and then it will end. So that's the goal for today. If we hit run again, you'll notice it flashed here for a second, and over in our console, here it has splash scene and title scene. So it does work. And we're just going to try it again on full screen so you can see it happen on full screen. There we go, splash scene and title scene. So now we have two separate scenes, and when we need to add more, we will make another copy, and then we will update our scene. So next time what we're going to do is we're actually going to go back to our splash scene and add some more interesting effects than just a plain black background.